Well, hi, everybody. I'm Don Stewart, and welcome to our second edition of Breaking News for this Saturday, the 15th day of June, 2024. And we're going to start with a very sad story, a very heartbreaking story coming out of Israel from our Israeli friends who are Bible-believing Christians. They sent this about an hour ago. And let me tell you, the situation is dire. In fact, the heading that they sent of the message to their friends to pray is distrust. Here's what they said. Our soldiers and commanders in the IDF, Israeli Defense Force, are extremely frustrated so much that it's on the level of distrusting our leaders. It demoralizes our soldiers. Our army can take over Rafa, but somehow our national leaders in charge are bending to pressure from outside. Two exclamation points. Our nation suffered. Our nation suffered due to bad leadership or no leadership. However, it's no excuse to let your own people down due to pressure. And with letting down, I mean bleeding to death. Every day people are getting killed here. Rockets get fired, villages get set ablaze, etc., etc. It's unheard of what we are enduring here. SOS, SOS. Psalm 118, 8 and 9. It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to trust in people. It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to trust in noblemen. All right, I want you to recall our top story this morning if you're able to watch it. Joe Biden was bragging, I'm pressuring the Israelis, he says as he warns Israel to follow U.S. instructions, his instructions. I've made it very clear to the Israelis what they have to do in the near term, and if they don't, what's going to happen, Biden warned. And that, of course, is fighting with one hand tied behind their back, the pinpoint fighting, rather than fighting with the weapons that they have and the assets they have, where they could, completely take over Rafah and get rid of the Hamas's military in very short order time. But they're hamstrung because of what Biden is forcing them to do. Now, probably the reason for this, the sadness, is the news that came out. See, this Sabbath is over, so now they can hear the news. There was a terrible event that happened. A deadly Gaza blast killed 8 Israeli soldiers. And Netanyahu came on the air this Saturday evening after the Sabbath was over. He paid tribute to the 8 soldiers who perished in an APC disaster in Rafah. He said there's no alternative to victory in the war. Our hearts shatter at the immense loss. The entire nation of Israel embraces the bereaved families in their deep sorrow. When the price is so heavy, we must remember what we are fighting for to ensure our existence and future and to bring back all of our captives. This monstrous enemy has no intention of stopping here. Along with the rest of Iran's axis of evil will continue to its attempts to destroy us. If we don't stop it, it will not stop. Therefore, there's no alternative to victory. Well, you got to win the victory to keep doing these little pinpoint strikes here and there. You have to use the force that you have to get the victory, or you're going to have events like this, because this is precisely what we've talked about, what we warned about, because Israel has to be so extra careful. Their soldiers will have to take chances they normally wouldn't have to. And here we have 8 people dead because of this. And this is why, our friends in Israel, our Bible-believing Christian friends, that said, look, this is getting too much for us. And these people have a tremendous ministry, by the way, with the Holocaust survivors, with the poor there, preaching the gospel, with the Messianic fellowships that are there. They really do the job of the Lord. They're very strong Christians. We love them dearly, and they're hurting really bad. So please pray for them. The situation is so difficult. And, I don't know if there's an easy answer. If Israel will not go forward and do what they need to do, they're going to be, keep getting picked off like this one by one, and Hamas will eventually win. And so it's just heartbreaking, and it's maddening too. Now, our third headline, the IDF identifies terror launches from where? From humanitarian shelters in the Gaza Strip. Terror organizations in the Gaza Strip launched 5 projectiles from a humanitarian area in central Gaza toward the area of Kibbutz Kisum on Friday, the IDF reported on Saturday. 2 of the projectiles crossed into Israeli territory and fell into open areas. The other 3 projectiles fell inside the Gaza Strip. This is a further example of the cynical exploitation of humanitarian infrastructure and the civilian population being used as human shields by terror organizations in the Gaza Strip for their terrorist attacks, the IDF said. Now, this reminds me of my one and only trip to Lebanon. I've been to Israel 18 times, but in the 80s on the Operation Peace for Galilee, I went with a group of people who were doing some filming there. We went into Beirut and we interviewed a bunch of people, some of the ones that had been taken prisoner by the PLO, and then hearing from the Israelis what they had to face. And it's the first time I heard about human shields. And they said, here's our problem. We try and fight the enemy. The enemy's shooting from mosques, from kindergartens, from hospitals, from places, where there's civilians, and they're hoping that civilians will get killed because they've got their camera people right there to take pictures and show the world how evil Israel is. So this continues on. The humanitarian areas were set aside where Israel does not bomb, does not shoot, but they're still getting shot at from these areas. And again, Israel, every day it's almost like they have to, do the checklist. I've done this right. I've done this right. So can I go on the next day? And it's so sad and so hurtful. Now, our next headline again is something we talked about earlier today. We have another one similar. U.S. officials worry Israel will drag America into a war against Hezbollah. This is from CBS News here in the U.S. and by way of the Jerusalem Post. The Biden administration has become increasingly concerned that the increasing conflict and rocket exchanges between Israel and Hezbollah could expand through the region, anonymous U.S. officials told CBS on Friday. An official said the administration has been working towards lowering the risk that U.S. troops face in Syria, Iraq, and Jordan. Additionally, diplomatic advisor Amos Hochstein is heading to Israel on Monday with the reported purpose of trying to de-escalate tensions before they spread throughout the regions. Well, why don't you talk to Hezbollah, like we said this morning? They're the ones that are doing. How about the Lebanese government? They're the ones that started this. When Hamas attacked on October 7th, immediately from Lebanon, Hezbollah attacked. And again, both are client states of Iran. They're proxies of Iran. They're doing it the bidding of the Iranians. And yet the U.S. is going after Israel with both what's happening in the south and the north. They're worried. Well, what's Israel supposed to do? Just to lay down and die? And like we said, as strange as it is, it seems the attitude of the U.S. since '73, since the Yom Kippur War, is not let Israel win any wars, not let them be too strong. As Kissinger told the Russian diplomat, my heart was shaking and fearful that Israel would actually win a victory here in the 1973 Yom Kippur War. Why is that? I don't know, but it's very, very pathetic. Now, so we've got the another headline now. It says the U.S. believes Israel is primed to launch an all-out war with Hezbollah. This is from this is from Ynet here. The other was from the Jerusalem Post, Ynet News. The rocket barrages that continue the assassination of this leader amongst the Hezbollah concerns American officials about the escalation that could lead to a broader conflict. And again, they're worried that Israel might start a war against Hezbollah. That's what they're worried. Israel might start a war. These people, just one that cannot end without American support. They're worried the Americans are going to have to get in on this. This is the big worry. And so we will see. Again, other stories, other news sources telling us this. Now, with all that going on, one more story here. And this is international one. Vladimir Putin said he's ready for a ceasefire tomorrow. In fact, somebody texted me I think it was on our page, on our Facebook page, and said, is Russia and Israel going to Russia and the United States getting to a war? What may? We don't know. That's one possibility. But Putin said he's ready for a ceasefire tomorrow. He said if Ukraine pulls out of the 4 regions seized by Russian forces and abandons its plan to join NATO, after warning the world, he says they need to do this because the world has reached, and this Putin's words, the point of no return. He says a ceasefire was needed to achieve unity between Russia and Ukraine and Europe in general. He promised to immediately withdraw a ceasefire order a ceasefire with Ukraine, begin peace negotiations if Kiev agreed to withdraw its troops from the 4 regions annexed by Moscow in 2022 and renounce any plans to join NATO. Zelensky and Ukraine have no concern, no desire to do this whatsoever, and the U.S. keeps pouring money into them. So it's like the continual war going on. But see, again, the problem is many of these news sites, World War III watch, because this is what could happen. Vladimir Putin has supersonic weapons that can reach anywhere in the world, and not only the Western Europe, but also the United States of America. And so we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know. We know the United States not in Bible prophecy. That doesn't mean we're going to be destroyed. Right now, we're destroying ourselves. But we've got this. Now, why such strong words? Well, possibly because of this last headline of ours. Ukraine claims first ever fighter jet strike on Russian territory. Ukraine is touting that it has launched a successful airstrike by fighter jets inside Russian territory. Some Sky News. And this is a significant first of the conflict. Sky News raised the likelihood that it was a Western supplied missile used in the attack. And this comes after Western allies, including the US, green-lighted Kiev's use of NATO-supplied munitions to attack inside of Russia. And again, they're not sure of whether or not it's a Western weapon, but it's the first. The statement said there was a direct hit, and it's the first UAF air-delivered munition delivered against a target within Russia. And so the military officials in Ukraine are boasting to UK outlets of having attacked Russian territory with its air-launched missiles. It's perhaps a way of keeping up the pressure on its partner and its allies to support them. We don't know if this was the reason Putin said this, because it looks like Ukraine just upped the ante by attacking Russian soil now and with Western weapons. And Putin has warned about this. And so we will see what takes place. We just don't know. We do know this. The world's in a mess, difficult situation. The good news is, and why we're always optimistic, is we know how it's all going to end. The living God is going to have his way. He's going to come back, God the Son, Jesus Christ, and set up his kingdom, Revelation 19. But in the meantime, it's not going to be pretty, and it's going to get worse and worse. And our hearts are going to be broken with the United States of America just showing why we're not in last days Bible prophecy, by zero leadership, turning our back on our friends, and just doing everything we can that is so Israel does not survive. But the Lord has already said Israel's going to survive, and that's the final word on the matter. All right. Again, please take advantage of our resources. Educating Our World is our website, and we have 65 books on PDF portable document form where you can download for free, 12 on Bible prophecy, 400 plus videos. Everything's free to understand what's going on in the world, what's going on with respect to God's work in the world. And it's all there for you so you can be confident, be assured, because we're assured, we're excited about what's going on. We know God's going to win. It is heartbreaking and seriously disturbing of what we see from the US, but this is what we expect to see, sadly, because the US is not a player in last days Bible prophecy. By injuring Israel, what we're doing is basically committing suicide ourselves, because God still has Genesis 12, 1-3 in the Bible. I'm going to bless those that bless Israel and curse those that curse. And if we curse Israel, believe me, we're going to be under a curse from the God of the Bible. All right, I'm Don Stewart. We'll have more tomorrow on all this. Please pray for our friends in Israel. Until then, may the Lord richly, richly bless.